Hello there, Biakamus desu and welcome to my review of The Quarry. So you have seen my videos, or at least I hope so, where I'm doing reviews of supermassive games. So we went through Until Dawn, we have done the review for the first volume or the four first games of the Dark Pictures anthology, and now we come to the most recent of the games, which is The Quarry. And The Quarry seems to try to go back in terms. I feel like it has a slight different vibe from the other games in the Dark Pictures anthology, and it seems to go back to being a standalone game like Until Dawn. And I think the game is an interesting horror experience. I still think none of the games so far beat Until Dawn. For me, Until Dawn was a very good horror experience, but The Quarry does make the effort. So we will go by parts, and I will always warn there are gonna be spoilers, not major spoilers, but of course these are narrative driven games, and I will of course talk about moments of the story, and you may have spoilers for that, so beware. So The Quarry follows this group of, not really teachers, I'm not sure what's the word, summer camps, and you have the orienters that are working there. And you have this group of kids, they are not kids, they are between adults, people that go to college, finishing high school, it's more around those ages. So it's more or less adults, which is also something that is a little different from Until Dawn. Then again, I'm not sure how old they were. Maybe they were also adults. I'm not sure. Because some of the characters still feel like the stereotype of these high schoolers that thinks that life is only about party. And the reason why this horror scenario actually happens, it's so stupid. Because you could understand the horror scenario in Until Dawn. So it's this cabin in the middle of the woods where they would go usually, and someone decides to kind of do a homage to what life was like before the death of the two characters, and they go back for that reason. This time you have the summer camp has finished, and they are about to go back to their regular lives, and you have this one dude that somehow thinks that it's the end of the world because it's the end of the summer camp means that it's the end of the summer, and if it's the end of the summer and he doesn't get a chance to talk to the girl that he has a crush on, it's gonna be the end of the world apparently. So he decides to do this very stupid move where he basically wrecks the car that will take them out of there, so they have to stay the night until the next morning. It's so stupid. It's such a stupid reason for a horror plot, and it's so common also. But doesn't matter, let's take a step back. So they are in this, it's the Hackett's Quarry summer camp, and you are here basically trapped thanks to this dude just because he wants to. Well, the dude is for me a douchebag, and the girl that he wants to talk to, the character that I most hated in this game. But it is what it is. By the way, it's been a while since I last played this game. It's been a long time since I played it, so the names of some characters may be foggy, so sometimes I may refer very vaguely to some characters. So they end up staying, and some are trying to ask for help from Chris Hackett, which I think is supposed to be like the director of the camp or something, and they are trying to see what they can do because he's nowhere to be found. Night is fast approaching. They are trying to somewhat have fun, even though a few of them are a little bit worried with the circumstances. And of course, as night approaches, as the sun sets, something is starting to go very wrong. And what is the plot this time? It's not Wendigos like last time, even if they actually acted like werewolves, but this time it's actual werewolves. Yes, indeed. So they start seeing that something is going very wrong, and some characters get infected, others don't, and it's this game because the transformation doesn't occur immediately. So it's this game of doubting. Of course, it's not a Town of Salem kind of game because it's much more, linear. You don't have to find anything out, but you are trying to put an end to the werewolf curse because friends are attacking friends because they lose their rationality when they transform into werewolves. And they actually have this very, actually what they remind me in design, they actually remind me of the werewolf design that you see in Harry Potter for Professor Lupin. That's basically the design for the werewolves, which honestly, I'm not sure if it's accurate to the mythology associated. I'm not even sure. But yeah, that's the only thing that reminded me of. They kind of track it down to the Hackett's family. So the Hackett's family are the ones that are infected, except they are not. They are not the ones that started this. So there's a wolf that is the Silver Wolf, or a name similar to that, that is actually the source of this curse. And I'm not too sure about what happened. I would have to look it up better. But you basically have the legend of the Hag of the Hackett's Quarry. It's this with the tongue twister. There was like a circus that would come from time to time. And her son was an attraction at the circus. I'm not sure if he was an attraction because he was already kind of half wolf. I think he was supposed to be this half boy, half wolf. And then you have the Hackett's kids that tried to set free the boy, but they ended up messing up. One of the kids started a fire to make a distraction, and they ended up just burning everything down. Of course, the boy still survived. I think he scratched the sister or whatever, one of the kids in the story, and that's how the curse passed on. The boy, the half wolf, went into hiding, and he's the source of all the curse. So the Hacketts are trying to locate this Silver Wolf to kill him so they can end the curse for good. Meanwhile, of course, you have in all games of Supermassive, you have the psychologist, you have the curator, and you have a similar figure here in the Quarry. And who is that? The Hag of Hackett's Quarry. And apparently what she did, the main attraction that she had was she was a cartomancer, she was a tarot reader, and that's the mechanic for this game. So the mechanic that I hate so much, which is looking at the pictures and seeing possible futures, is also here, of course. And it's in the form of cards. So the mechanic, actually, it's a little bit different. Because as you go through the chapters, you will collect a number of cards. Sometimes I would only get one, so not like I had much choice. But sometimes I would get like 3 or 4. And at the end of the chapter, you have a talk with the hag. And she will tell you that you can choose which card to see. And you have no possibility of seeing the other one. So it's this blindly looking at random cards, like the Hanged Man or the Tower, and trying to decide which one you want to see. And once again, they show you a possible future that I think doesn't help you in any way with your decisions. But I guess they decided to kind of spice up the mechanic and do it a little bit different, and it was interesting. While you are also with the hag, she does not only, so she's not impartial person that is trying to guide you in the story. She is actually telling you her story and how things went and how she wants you to act. Because she's partial to the story, she wants to save her son, which is being targeted by the Hacketts because he's the source of the curse. And she's always saying, my boy, my precious boy, please save him, help save him. And that's actually a decision that you can do if you are able to even face off or encounter Silverwolf. So you have the splitting from the Hag and her own side of the story. I will say the Hacketts are just detestable. I don't really remember because Chris is the director of the summer camp. They say that Chris is awesome, but I only know it by what the characters say about him, because you have no chance of encountering him unless in his werewolf form. But the Hacketts in general are terrible. I did not really 2 playthroughs of the game, but I ended up going back a few chapters to change some stuff, to do 2 different endings. So basically, what happens is, in the first one, the Hag was very pleased with what I did because I ended up killing the entirety of the Hackett family. And she was very pleased because she saw them as the enemies, the ones that set fire to the circus, the ones that put her boy in danger, so justice for her, I guess. But I also lost a few characters. I lost Laura, I lost Ryan, I lost... was his name Jacob? But then again, Jacob was a whole different matter because I was doing a very good job with Jacob and he ended up in a cage. And you have this circuit where you flip some switches, and he was in a cage right next to a werewolf that was also imprisoned. And as you mess with the switches, you are able to open doors and open different, it's kind of a weird way that they built the cages, because it has paths that connect, that's the switches. I didn't understand how the switches worked. I tried to mess around with a few, but I was seeing very random stuff opening up and closing down, and I was like, I'm sorry, dude. You actually have some character development, but your desperation in trying to suck up to Emma because apparently she's the best girl that you can lay your eyes upon, which she's not, by the way, I cannot. I'm sorry, and I just thought myself, this character is not enough for me to, just waste my time here with this. So Jacob he just died. He ended up dying because the power is cut off, and he was basically mauled by the werewolf when the energy was cut out. Besides killing the entire Hackett family, I lost Laura, Ryan, and Caitlin. And I was actually pissed with the reason why I lost those 3. Because in this game you also have a mechanic where you use a shotgun. And you have to be attentive because it's so much to take in at the same time, because you have this closed time space to shoot. Then the thing that you're aiming, because usually you are aiming at a werewolf, the werewolf doesn't stay still for that time. He actually moves and is able to dodge. And you also have to take into consideration that the shotgun has a kick. So if you need to aim it a little bit lower than you intend, because the kick will make it go higher. It's so much, and you don't use the mechanic through the game enough for you to kind of adapt to all this, and in the final chapter you have to use the shotgun in 2 very important moments. One would save both Ryan and Laura, the other would save Caitlin. Of course, I failed to kill the werewolves that were trying to attack me, and the 3 died. So I then went back to redo the chapters where that happens, was finally able, after maybe 2 tries or something, was finally able to kill both werewolves. And on top of saving those 2 characters, I was also able to locate Silver Wolf. And I was able to go there, and they tell you that you can either kill him or walk away. That's a complete lie, because I tried to spare, because I was like, okay, the Hackett family, there are a few survivors, there are a few infected also in the group that was part of the summer camp, I want to save them, I want to end the curse. But I'm not sure that I want to kill this, he's wild, but not really culprit of his actions. And I tried to spare him. Guess what? He kills me. If he kills me, then I have no options. I kill him. So that's basically what happened. I was actually kind of pissed at that because I thought that maybe I had an option, but no, it's an illusion. You either kill the Hackett's family or you kill the boy. And of course, after I killed him, the curse was finally lifted because the origin of the curse was done. And when you talk with the hag at the end, she will curse you for the rest of your life. I'm happy, I guess. But yeah, other than that, it's a very straightforward horror experience involving wolves. Laura and Max are supposed to be two monitors of the camp that ended up in jail, imprisoned by, I'm not sure, he's a police officer that is a member of the Hackett family, and he was actually trying to protect them. I will say he's the best character from the Hackett's family because the others were straight up douches, but he was actively trying to end the curse without any blood. The Hackett family couldn't care less. If they needed, they would kill anyone that knew about the secret, but he was like, no, we need to help these people because they are innocent and, you know, they could help us and there's no need to shed more blood. And actually he was fine. I really enjoyed Abby. I think she's a nice character. I enjoyed Ryan. Max, for me, I mean, he's quirky, but not really one of my favorite characters. Emma, I hated with a passion. I hated that I had to play with her, and I hated her with a passion. Nick is also one of those characters that I don't have really strong opinions. I think that he's either a douchebag or being a werewolf brings out the worst of him. Not sure which one. But yeah, I also don't have strong opinions. I did enjoy Ryan. I did enjoy the kind of back and forth that he had with Laura, the part where you have them both. They quickly became my favorites. I like that Ryan listens to those creepy, obscure podcasts. He's a little bit antisocial, but he's a really interesting character. It was a nice experience. Overall, if I place it in only the games of Supermassive Games, I mean, maybe I would put it before the Dark Pictures anthology, but it really depends because I enjoyed the experiences like The House of Ashes and The Devil in Me. The other two games have their flaws, so I guess not, but it has a lot to do to be able to surpass Until Dawn, really. There's not much to say in terms of soundtrack. I mean, it fits, it's adequate. I liked that you collect evidence throughout the game, and at the end in the credits you get different stuff because you are listening to the podcast that Ryan listens to, and they are talking about the evidence that you collected throughout the game and they make comments about that. So I think that's a really nice detail and I appreciated that. I think it's very well thought out and made the credits interesting to watch. Oh, of course, there's always a mechanic where you have to stay still. So this time it was a mechanic where you had to decide where or when you wanted to hold your breath to keep yourself hidden or unnoticed. Not much to say about that. I mean, it's a fine mechanic. It does... I think it's not really, how do I say it, accurate. It doesn't really give you the sense of how it works and how it does not. I think it's a little bit, I think I enjoyed other mechanics in other games that had the same kind of intent. I was not really a big fan of this one, honestly. So yeah, this is it. I don't have much more to say about this game. Feel free to share in the comments your favorite moments, what do you think about this kind of game, and if you went back to the game, saw other outcomes, other playthroughs. And for all this content live, please check out my Twitch channel. If you liked the video, please leave a like, subscribe, and I will see you next time. May music always be your life.